I was just the janitor mopping floors while everyone else in the building wore $1,000 suits and gave orders like they were kings of the world. Nobody asked my name. They just walked past like I was part of the furniture. And honestly, I preferred it that way. Until the night she slipped me that note. It was written on a scrap of printer paper, shaky handwriting, 5 words that changed everything. Someone is following me. Please don't leave. I looked up and there she was. Amelia Rhodes, the CEO of Rhodes Global, a billion-dollar empire built on tech, clean energy, and ruthless decisions. Always polished, always poised, always alone. But that night she looked scared. And not the kind of scared you fake for sympathy, real fear. The kind that tightens your throat and makes your eyes dart toward every shadow. I didn't ask questions. I just nodded and stayed. Truth is, I'd noticed it too. Black sedans parked across the street a little too often. Elevator glitches that only happened on her floor. And the way her office was, almost always the same, but not quite. Papers shifted, screens left on. I've seen enough in my past life to know when someone's being watched. You see, before all this, I was someone else. I used to work in defense tech systems, security threat prediction stuff. You needed 3 security clearances just to read about. But that ended when my wife got sick. Cancer doesn't care how brilliant your algorithms are. It doesn't care how much you've saved. When she passed, all that mattered was my daughter Zoe. She was 7. Confused, heartbroken, scared to sleep alone. So I walked away. From the contracts, from the titles, from the shadows. I became Mr. Daniel, the guy who cleans the 39th floor. And that was fine until Amelia handed me that note. We met on the roof that night, city lights stretching behind her like a canvas of chaos and possibility. Her designer suit looked out of place next to the rusted air ducts and antennas, but she didn't care. She wasn't Amelia, the CEO up there, just a woman being hunted by people who knew her better than she wanted them to. I sound paranoid, don't I? She asked, her voice barely above the wind. No, I said you sound like someone who's right to be scared. That's when it began, this secret alliance between the janitor and the queen. For days I stayed after my shifts, used my master keys to check blind spots, review internal camera logs, trace digital fingerprints through systems no one else in the building even knew existed. I didn't need much, just her trust and a promise that Zoe would stay out of it. But I underestimated how far her enemies would go. It started with whispers, then came the frame job. One morning I was flipping pancakes for Zoe, just like always, when 6 officers banged on my door. Espionage, corporate sabotage, unauthorized access. They had everything: keycard logs, login times, even footage. All of it looked legit, but it was planted, and I knew exactly who was behind it. See, Amelia's father, Russell Rhodes, wasn't just the founder of the company. He was the shadow that still controlled it. He didn't like that Amelia was soft, didn't trust her instincts, and sure as hell didn't approve of her being seen with a janitor. So he made his move. Transfer him to Detroit, I overheard her VP say. He'll be gone by Monday. Only this time, I didn't run. Amelia came to my apartment that night. I was on Zoe's floor reading her favorite bedtime book like nothing happened. I'm sorry, she whispered at the door, tears in her eyes. This is my fault. No, I told her this is power doing what power always does, crush what it can't control. I spent the next 72 hours doing what they thought I'd forgotten. I rebuilt the timeline, recovered the deleted files, traced the breach to the real source, Richard Langston, her EVP, and Russell's puppet. And then we found the emails, dozens of them. Richard and Russell plotting everything: how to frame me, how to make it look clean, how to spin the press after Amelia's mental breakdown and forced resignation. But finding truth wasn't enough. We had to show it. So we waited for the board meeting. Russell thought she'd announce her engagement to some cold-blooded heir from East Asia. The merger of the century, he called it. Instead, she stood up, looked him dead in the eye, and said, "Before we talk business, I want you to meet someone." That's when I walked in. Not in a janitor's uniform, in a charcoal gray suit I hadn't worn since the day I left defense. Some of the board members flinched. A few recognized me. One even whispered, "That's Daniel Hayes." Amelia nodded. "Yes. PhD MIT. Former director of threat systems at Titan Defense. And the man you tried to bury with false charges." I plugged in the drive. Slide by slide, we laid it out. Emails, audio files, logs, surveillance. And the kicker, an audio clip of Richard himself saying, "Just make it look like the janitor did it. No one questions the janitor." When it ended, the room was silent, until Russell stood, his face pale, voice trembling. "I did what I had to do, to protect this company, to protect you." "No," Amelia said, steady as stone. "You did it to protect yourself. You tried to destroy a man because I trusted him, because you were scared I'd lead without fear." He tried to shout her down, but the board had heard enough. Within the hour, Richard were removed pending federal investigation. Amelia took full control of the company. And me, I didn't go back to mopping floors. 6 months later, I was heading up cybersecurity for Rhodes Global. My office was 2 floors below Amelia's, and 2 blocks from Zoe's school. We moved into a brownstone near the park. She calls Amelia her bonus mom now. Funny, isn't it? How a note scribbled in desperation led to a whole new life for all of us. But I'll tell you what I'll never forget. That night on the roof when Amelia asked, "Why did you help me?" And I said, "Because you looked at me like I was a person, not a uniform. And that's rare in this world. So tell me, in your life, who do you overlook the cleaner, the security guard, the waitress who remembers your order, but you've never once asked her name? Drop a comment below. Have you ever judged someone by their job and been dead wrong? Because sometimes the most powerful person in the room is the one nobody sees coming.